Each time I come here, it's like peeling a little bit of the onion. I mean, how can you not come here without feeling like you are so incredibly lucky? How many of the Fae really want to be entrapped by a writer or ghost storyteller or artist? Yep. Gotta watch my step here. Even when I'm on the path. It's so lush and green. You can feel all the new life sprouting forth from all the eternal resting places. Come here whenever you're having problems, you know. Really just puts it all in perspective. I've been to a lot of these places. Maybe the line of work I'm in. But there's still nothing like this one. All over the world, too. Not only is it beautiful, but I feel like there's just a chunk of my biography and who I am all wrapped up in here. Each time I come here, it's like peeling a little bit of the onion. I think there's a line, I think it was Tennessee Williams, says in one of his plays about going to the cemetery and listening to the dead, and they do talk. They say one thing: live, live, live. Wow, huh? You come to a place like this and it just speaks. It speaks. And you don't have to say anything, you don't have to do anything, you just walk through. Thanks for taking this little walk. There's so many times in the year this takes on so many different looks, but this is the best. Right in the middle of rain or the day after the rain, and you get all this amazing moss. Everything is just completely lush and vibrant. To me, it feels so happy. Like there's some kind of secret that only they are in on. And if you come here at this time, I think maybe just about any cemetery in the rain, you get to be in on it. It's great if you find one where you can visit it repeatedly. You get to know the different headstones. They seem like different people, each with their own personality, and they do have them. Something eternal. I find it deeply comforting. I mean, you can never really feel alone. Not that I really feel like I have too many problems with that, but like everybody else, I struggle with that. I always feel at peace in this conversation between the eternal resting and all the organisms of nature. Maybe they're one and the same. Maybe they're talking. Maybe they keep things interesting for each other. But I always feel like I'm comforted, not unlike as if I was a fly on the wall in some kind of old dark cafe with the great philosophers, just content to hear the conversation. I mean, how can you not come here without feeling like you are so incredibly lucky to be here, to have this moment in this world, on this earth, this crazy time. I see all these fantastic final resting places. And then, not too far away, there's always that strange phenomenon that every cemetery is near a busy street. I can hear sirens, and I can hear cars whizzing, maybe sometimes dogs barking. Not today, it's raining, but it's the hustle and bustle of life that goes on as though places like this don't exist. But I feel like I'm in some protective field. It's like a force field. I get to step in and out of eternity right here. And that is a gift, isn't it? I didn't think of that before. This is a very special time. They have not come to treat the ground yet, and so in the meantime we've got all this bed of sour grass here. Yeah. I think one of my most favorite moments that I had in a cemetery was actually when I was in Mexico, the end of October. So it was a great place to be there. And Dia de Muertos is just as enchanting as they say. You find a cemetery and all the families are there for the holiday, and I remember there would just be these different bands and mariachis, but it was just the most somber, romantic acoustic guitars, and they would just be singing these songs. There was this one grave of this matriarch who had passed, and the whole family was there, and I think they had hired a guitarist, or maybe he was in the family. I seem to recall it was something like they did something extra special. But I remember them crowding around this grave and singing so softly. And the kids were just so angelic. And I was just blissing out, listening to that beautiful guitar. Something so spellbinding about that. It's one of those many instances that makes me kind of sad about how most people celebrate Halloween. Like, it's just about getting candy when you're a kid and dressing up, and then when you're an adult, it's about finding some kind of party. I just feel like it could be so much deeper to have that holiday and remember the dearly departed and bless the dead, be blessed by the dead, ask for their blessing, and we totally blow the opportunity every year. but it's okay. I celebrate them in my heart, and in some way I think Ghost in the Gaslight is where I get to enjoy it all the time. This is good value. But every time I come here, it feels a little different. Some spot feels a little different. And I feel so fortunate. I feel so fortunate for my life and what I've done. I think of what little I've done. I think of how much I've done. I'm grateful for all of it. It's kind of like replenishing the reserves. Funny, no matter how often I come here, it always feels a little strange. I don't make too big of a habit doing it, but I do try to get out here to get some perspective. It also reminds me that we've all got friends and they're always here. They're literally resting, but they're now in the ether and they're everywhere. And I think they're all enjoying themselves. Or at peace. Probably both. I'm sure every now and then there are the ones with a little unfinished business, and those are the ghosts and poltergeists or whatnot. But I really feel, maybe I've been reading too much Yeats right now, but I do feel the fairies here. And that's been really exciting. I think sometimes it's like to be out here in the rain in February after I've been finding so many of them. Who knows, maybe they're on notice to scatter whenever I'm near. How many of the Fae really want to be entrapped by a writer or ghost storyteller or artist? That's okay. Not going to be greedy. Look at these trees. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. We've had a lot of rain, so that's allowed a whole world to just sprout up and flourish just on the surface of this tree's skin. Look at all this. Life is relentless. I remember I used to think this place was incredibly magical, and I would visit here all the time. And I remember one day, I think I was maybe 19 or 20, and I came here, and I think it was the summer, which is my least favorite time of year, obviously. It was dry grass and beating hot sun, and everything looked so sad and dry. And I just felt like the magic was gone. Lost it. Don't know where it went. Just seemed like it would never return, and I just fell into this depression whenever I thought of that. And I feel like I was just depressed in life anyway. And there were a lot of different, I think, events that combined for that. But eventually I put myself back together and I made some great life-changing decisions that really changed the way I looked at life. And eventually I got very inspired in this strange perpetual way that just seemed to keep bringing other... Ooh, it's like there's a murder up there. But it just seemed to keep inspiring more and more events, people coming into my life, that kind of thing, successes. And what I felt here that day just became lost to the mists of time. And then a few years ago, when I started visiting my old stomping grounds in all the different ways again, so strange. I had been to so many different graveyards searching for something, Worked on a web series that was shot in one. And then I was brought here in the late spring. I think it was 2021. And there was just this really tall green grass everywhere. I mean, it must have been up to my chest. And it looked so wild and vibrant and full of history. And it seemed like what I'd been looking for every time I just wanted to find a cemetery. And why did I want to find a cemetery? It's just like a place where I can just take a moment and push away the overwhelm, put things in perspective, and get this new appreciation for everything. And every time I come here, it's like that magic is back. I feel like that little kid. I think that story is about having a little faith in things, having a little faith that things come around. You could be down in the dumps, but you're meant to go through that. You're meant to be sad and depressed, feeling like nothing's going right, so that you dig down and find something in yourself and then let it go. I mean, I forgot about this place. I can't believe it. I can't believe I packed that much into my life for a couple decades. And every time I come here, there's this part of me it's 6'3", but there's this part of me that's like, 4'5" or whatever. And the value of this place is not lost on me. I'm a fan of history and the things that came before us, especially now when we're in this wonderful, fast-paced time of technology and dreaming out loud and creating all kinds of amazing, beautiful things that are beyond our dreams and terrifying things that we don't know quite how to get a hold on. Wondrous confusion is one of the joys of being alive, I think. Always be in a state of wondrous confusion, if you can. Find the awe, the moments of awe. I think I've said that before, right? It does things to your brain, don't forget. If you can be in awe about something, it's going to reconfigure that neuroplasticity in your brain. Just keep doing that. And you'll just keep believing. this sky has been so dark today, and now it's actually getting to be the time where it's getting dark. Awe. I'm in awe of this. I mean, I grew up with these trees. Maybe you can recognize them in my drawings and paintings. This is what I know. This is reality. Haunting. My favorite tree right here. Well, one of about 5 in this place. Maybe we'll see the others sometime. Look how muddy this ground is. Watch your step indeed. And I'd like to thank you for taking this little trip with me and seeing the sights here. I wonder if you have some places that you like to go, cemetery-wise. Maybe you recommend one. I'm always intrigued. Or maybe you have some experience in one, something unique like that. This is my favorite spot. The sour grass just seems to spill over the headstone and the wall like it's this lava of clover. Every year it becomes overrun like this. It is February 13th, 2025, and we're in a paradigm shift. You feel it? I can feel it. Every now and then we have moments where we get to see that. I remember my dad telling me a story when he saw Ali take out Sonny Liston. And he told me this whole story about just a bad mofo Sonny Liston was. I mean, he was mean, he was brutal, he just really mess you up, and just kind of mean-spirited. And then there was this young fighter who was vibrant and positive, cared about the people, really had something to say, seemed to have a beating heart to bring about positive change in the world. And there was like this feeling of good and evil. And I remember my dad saying that he felt like he had no chance against Sonny Liston. And he really didn't want this kid to get hurt. And he watches the fight, and he said he felt the world change when Ali won. And then he realized he was in the midst of a paradigm shift. That everything was changing and it was for the better, and that was his moment, his glimpse that this was all possible. So I think I finally see what he's talking about. Because I just feel it now. Everywhere I look in the world, everything is just changing. Everything's coming to light. And I'm just seeing how people respond and react, and it all feels, this is part of it. This is so important. And I was kind of feeling it all day, but coming here to this place right now, I'm able to pay attention to that feeling, which is really interesting. Because it was there, and it probably would have gotten lost in everything I'm doing. I mean, I'm making vlogs, I'm painting, I'm writing, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's kind of dizzying. But then I come here and I go, what's coming up? What am I feeling as a person? What am I feeling as a person that's in the world today? What am I feeling as a person that is encountering all the information and all the news and creating all this art and work and researching all this folklore? What am I feeling here? I'm feeling where history ends and where the present begins and where new histories are being made right now, this very moment. And that's dizzying. That is really beautiful. Anyway, I want to share these things with you guys because I can talk to someone about it, and I do, but I do want to just find another way of sharing it, putting it out there, rather than just, writing a social media post. I think that's part of why I'm doing this all this way. It's not about just making vlogs about drawing, or it's about making vlogs about hiking too, and sharing thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts come out in my time-lapse drawings. And we should all be in this together, Well, it's getting dark. Part of the deal I make being here and having this time with you is gotta know when to go. I'd like to thank you all for taking this time with me. And again, please feel free to leave me a comment. And let's talk about these kinds of things, There's all kinds of things we can talk about, but let's be in this space together. Because it's very special and it doesn't happen enough. And with that, take my leave.